G'day, welcome back to Das Customs, and after the last video I got to say I'm a little bit inspired. Beetle Ute is back on 4 wheels. The last video I managed to get the front beam, kind of made, it's good enough. And in my spare time I've just been kind of throwing the back together. It's just kind of standardish, stockish stuff in the back at the moment, but I've kind of located the springs. I turned them a few splines, got it to sit fairly low. Obviously with no engine, it sprung back up, but I think I do want to go a little lower in the rear. I've yanked the WRX engine out of it. This car, look, it was holding me up. It was making it more difficult than it needed to be. And I have scored an old 1.8 litre combi engine, Type 4 engine, which I'm actually going to, eventually I'll build a nice big Type 4 for this. I did have one getting built, didn't quite work out, but this will do for now. This will get it, cruising around. I've got a set of carbies for it. We're going to, change the manifolds and do all that kind of stuff. And then we'll just see if we can get this thing running good enough. And then, at least it'll be good enough to mock up the ute. So this is it. It's the Type 4 engine. What I'm going to try and do right now is just strip it back. Just take all the stuff I'm taking off it. It's been sitting outside here for a few weeks now. It was actually delivered by a fella. Most of the people in the Subaru world in Australia probably know him. Phil, and he just pulls these things out of buses and sold it to me at a reasonable price. I thought it's a complete engine, so I've got all the tinware and stuff I need to make something good. Probably eventually I'll be looking for a 2 litre bottom end, and then get the heads worked and kind of do it that way. These engines are meant to be a lot torquier. I think 80 horsepower is what they come out. This thing's probably tired as, but it's only got to push a small little car. It's getting bolted to an unknown Subaru VW combi transaxle. It was built for Baja racing supposedly, so who knows what the gearing is in it. But you can see by these big chunky metal side plates, it looks like it was probably built fairly decently-ish. So look, basically what I'm trying to do is just get it in there so I can put the sides on and the tray on and just kind of see, I'm hoping I've actually gained a bit of height with this engine compared to the Subaru engine. And with the twin carbies and stuff, I just want to get the tray as low as I can. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to work on this. Anyway, I'll take you along. Well, this video seemed to start out as mocking an engine up in the Beetle Ute video, but I think at the end of the day, if I'm going to be putting this engine in that car, even though it might not be its final resting place, I'm just sick of dealing with this. I've just been out there pressure cleaning this thing, and it's just grimy. I'm just kind of starting to think that maybe I'm just better off pulling this engine apart and, cleaning it up to the best of my ability. I know it runs, whether it's a great runner or still a good runner even, I don't know, and at the end of the day, probably don't really even care that much. I just want it to be tidy, because if I do start building this thing up, it's probably going to be the basis of what I start to build. I know I'm going to need all the tinware. I'm going to need, the fan. If you look in there, it's just coated. It's probably never seen the light of day, this engine. I should probably do a compression test on it and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, as long as it runs, and as long as it runs reasonable, doesn't seem to have a lot of end play. I could barely feel any end play in it, which is, I'm not sure if these Type 4s are meant to have the same amount as a normal VW. But look, I think I'm just going to actually start stripping it down. And then just see what I can do with it, because at this stage, it's kind of, it's just pointless dumping this old oily thing in the car and building off it, because I want it to be nice. So I might just do that. I might just start stripping it down, pull everything off it, give it a good clean. Tomorrow I'll probably just, throw some paint on some of the stuff. I'll get a, tin of diesel and just start scrubbing and see if I can't get this thing back together kind of better than it was when I pulled it apart. Maybe that's what I'm looking at. Option 2 would be just put it in there and start building the car around it. I've kind of got all the tinware pulled off it already, and I was thinking to just scrub it up and kind of put it back together. Am I going to the trouble of sandblasting it all and, actually cleaning it up? I mean, there is just years and years of never been out of the car caked on oil, and this is after a pressure clean. It's pretty clean now compared to what it was. All this stuff kind of needs to come off, the belt doesn't look terrible. But it's just all oily like this. Tinware, like what tinware is it going to need in the Beetle ute, I'm definitely not running a vacuum advanced Dizzy in it. I've got a set of carbies I want to put on it. I could probably spend a couple of hours on it with a wire brush and some diesel and a bit of petrol, and I'd probably get it actually not too bad, By a couple of hours, I mean probably a whole day. The exhaust is definitely not the exhaust I want to use. It's just oily. I mean, we know V-dub engines are oily. They're always oily. It's just part of being a V-dub engine, I guess. But I kind of want it to be clean, Like, why am I playing with oily stuff if I could clean it first and just get it done? So let's look at that. I'm just going to keep pulling it down and just see if I can actually get it back to a base where I can just clean it up and put it back together. Yeah, it's a mess. So I got this thing pretty well stripped down last night, but it's a mess. What I'm going to try and do today, I think, is just clean this thing right up. We got the Gold Coast Dub Show on tomorrow, and I was meant to be going up and helping Josh from down on the dubs, like set up kind of a site, combined kind of tent. I don't have a license. I lost my license a few weeks back when I was driving back from Melbourne. I was doing too fast. I was going 30 kilometres over the speed limit through a work zone on a Saturday. There was no workers around, very poorly signed, whatever. But so I've got no license, so I've got to try and figure out how I'm going to get up there. In the meanwhile, I'm going to start scraping this thing down more. I'm going to get the wire brushes out. I'm going to actually get this thing back to clean. I think it's just worth it. I think when I've got this engine, even if it is just an old dunger, I may as well have it nice and clean and running, like a lot of guys are just running old engines in their V-dubs. It doesn't have to be a new, highly built engine, This thing, it pushed the combi along fine, It's probably going to push this thing along even better. So if it's got low compression, hey, we'll bang a turbo on it. Right, okay, here we go. I'm going to go outside and start cleaning. Well, as you do, I've been spending the day, can I get this open? Outside, scrubbing and cleaning. It doesn't even have a cap on it. What am I supposed to do about that? By that I mean this. What kind of, I think it's that one. That's it. It's like there's like 4 different kinds of caps these days. Like you got to, you know, chip and change them. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. I've been outside scrubbing and cleaning. I have cleaned up all the tinware, the front and back, and I'm talking, I was scrubbing. I was scrubbing with a bucket. You know, I didn't even put pressure cleaning. It's just been, that's the tool array. We got degreaser. We've got 004, steel wool, wire brushes, this and that, and a drill, and you know, everything. And I've got everything back to being pretty clean. I mean, this was the front fan housing, which on a Type 4. And you can see, you know, the inside, it's clean. It's not all just full of gunk as it was. And I've been hitting stuff with some paint. So, you know, that's the top tinwares. There's the bottom tinware, a couple more up there hanging. The back is all cleaned. It was just caked. And I etched primed these, you know, inside's clean too. I think I might have shown that before. I hit them with some etch primer. And I think I could have gone back to aluminium and polished them, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to hit them with this. It's a ceramic coated header paint. I had a couple of cans of this. I was going to redo an exhaust at one stage, but I decided not to. Oh, come on, get that thing going. There it goes. So it's a silver. It'll look kind of like aluminium. It's good enough for now. Good enough for what I'm doing. The exhaust's off. I didn't hit that one yet. It's another one I'm going to have to hit. Then while all of that's drying, I'm going to roll this back outside and just give it another scrub down. I'll probably pull the pressure cleaner out one more time to hit this with. The problem is now there's a lot of open orifices, so it's kind of, but I would love to pressure clean. That's not good. That's your oil cooler, guys. That's, you know, meant to be free flowing. Anyway, I'll just keep painting and cleaning and scrubbing, and I'm hoping to get back to the reassembly today. Well, that was an effort, I'm not going to lie. And the workshop was an absolute mess. Like, it's bad. But I've been kind of cleaning it up. I mean, the floors aren't as pristine as what they once were. And I've just dripped water, you know, all through the floor as I was coming back in. So I'm just trying to keep things relatively clean. But the engine's come up good, I'm going to say. I'm pretty happy with that. There it is. You know, it's a far cry from what it was. That's all the tinware, all painted. The front and back of the fan house, fan shroud painted. And now I am going to attempt to put that in there. Look, the goal for the end of this video, I'm probably not going to have a running engine. That's okay. Not really worried about it. All I was worried about is getting this. This engine was outside. Been outside for a couple of weeks since it got delivered. And I wanted to get it inside. And to be inside means it's taken up valuable floor space. Now, if it's in the car, it's not. So, goal of today is stab this in there, put the tray on the back, put the rear fenders on, and then push it back in. I think achievable. I don't think it's going to be that hard. Hopefully everything goes on just as easy as it came off. I think what I'm going to do first up is just actually try and get this in. I'm going to do the old build it in there technique, which I do. I might even just crank it over a couple of times to make sure there's no water. You know, I'll jet blasting it with the exhaust off. Not the best thing to do, but hey, it's probably also not the worst. This is just an old tired engine. But it runs, and I don't want to just, throw it in there as it was. So here we go. I'm going to try and get this thing in. You're not going to believe it, but I'm going to have to show you anyway. Engine on trolley, straight in. Sometimes you just win. All right, time to bolt her up and see if I can get some stuff back on it. Well, it's been a good day. I've got to say I'm pretty happy with the progress. I didn't quite get as much done as I would have liked. Like I would have liked to have turned this engine over and got it running. Probably not going to happen today, but it's not like it's far off. I mean, I've just got to, you know, do everything. Anyway, it sits in there like that at the moment, which is pretty cool. I think I've got plenty of clearance there. I have no shocks connected at the moment, but I am liking that ride height. I've got the guards back on. I'm not liking how they're turning in. They actually need to go, you know, out a fair way. Have I got something that I can make it do that to stop it looking like it is? Let me see. Well, I'm going to say overall pretty happy with how this is going. It looks tidy again, you know, which is good. It was a big greasy engine. It just looked horrible before, but you know, that looks pretty tidy. So as you remember, this was just caked. All of this was just caked in oil. Now it's not. Got a nice set of Rod Penrose carbs on there. Look, they're big. They're 44s or 45s. Weber's, I think, are 45s. I think Delautos are 44s. Anyway, so these are 45s. They're probably too big for the engine. It's a 1.8 litre. I do have a set of 40s as well. I'm just going to run them, see what works. You know, we can always kind of jet them and figure out what's going on. He did build me these carbs for the engine that's in that, which is a 2110, so it is a bigger engine. But anyway, we'll just see how it goes. How do you feel about that? You know, it's an air-cooled engine in an air-cooled car. I'm pretty happy with it. Kind of sits it down again. It's probably not as heavy as the Subaru engine, but it's probably not far off. Look, I'm going to just going to button a few things up here. One of the good things about the Combi or the bus engine is that it has a front mount that I can now basically disregard the mount which the Beetle engine usually mounts on, which is back under here. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm actually going to triangulate a bar up to here from there. I'll go across, so I'll keep some spread so I don't move, and then a bar up to here. And I think what that's going to do is just, you know, make this back bit strong enough to carry this. So I'll make up a mount, whether or not I, you know, use these. I'll definitely use this bar, but I might kind of, you know, do something like that. Where are we? Do something like, you know, that. I might just come straight up as it is. I'm pretty happy with it. It's obviously not sitting centered at the moment. It probably needs to come across to there. Are the carbies going to sit up into the tray? Probably. It's all right though. They'll be sucking fresh air from up in the back there. Anyway, I'm gonna put the bed back on. Hey, if anyone needs a set of two twin Solexes for their bus, hit me up. That's the box of greasy bits. I mean, this is what I was dealing with before. You can see the difference compared to that, which I'm pretty happy with. Let's get the tray on it. We'll just kind of put the guards back on it. I just want to see this thing kind of buttoned up for the day and just let it sit for a little while. I spun the engine over to make sure any moisture that was in there, oil came out, water came out. I also sprayed a heap of WD-40 into the cylinder, into the inlets. Try and, I'm going to get this thing running ASAP. I feel like maybe next week I might just bolt the carbies down properly and try and get some spark to it. But for now, I think it'll be all right. Anyway, let's get cracking. Sometimes you just got to, make do with what you got. It worked out pretty well because I could adjust it to where I needed it. It's not perfect, but I think it's going to work for now. Anyway, without further ado, I'll show you what I've done, put it back together. I'm just glad this thing's back as a whole car again. Gives me inspiration to work on not only it, but other cars. And with that, I guess I'll catch you guys later.